Welcome, everybody. I'm going to talk today about specializing or not. During this talk, I'm going to basically tell about a bit of history of our company, the choices we've made, and I'm going to give you some insights on how to look at your company, your work, your competitors, and basically how to benefit from it all. So it'll be a walkthrough. It will be a bit of theory and some anecdotes of what we've came along in the last 10 years as an agency. Please feel free to have questions at the end of the talk. Difficult ones, I don't care. Interesting questions, just come along. All right. First, some introduction. Who is OneShoe? OneShoe is the agency I started 10 years ago. We are an integrated agency. 40 specialists. We're based in Utrecht and in Munich. We love to innovate and we work integrated. And that's a really specific choice I'm going to dive into later on in this session. So basically what we do as an agency is that we combine advertising and digital. And that's not the easiest choice that we've made 10 years ago. But we had an idea. Because omnichannel marketing, and that was basically at the time, the buzzword, everything was integrated, everything was experienced, and everything was omnichannel because we had multiple channels to work with. I've worked for Vodafone before, and I knew that mobile was coming. This was in 2006 that we started, and I knew that mobile would become a dominant channel as well. So we were focusing on omnichannel marketing, which gives brands the opportunity to reach clients via a multitude of channels. But it also gives the customers basically a choice to convert via their channel of choice. So basically, if I want to buy a pair of socks, I can do it via my mobile telephone. I can do it in a shop, but I can also do it via my laptop. So basically, it's placing the customer in charge. That was basically when we started. So we started 10 years ago already designing customer journeys, and I don't know if the word already existed at the time, but we were already drawing lines about how the customer is moving forward. Why I'm telling you this, I'll tell you later on. Okay, so we work for a broad range of clients. We've already had the choice in the past to basically to choose a specific vertical. For example, the building industry or the transport industry, logistics, but we didn't because in 2008, when the recession hit Europe, I saw a lot of companies basically fall over. Companies or agencies that were specifically targeted on the construction vertical, and basically that was given us the insight that we didn't want to choose one vertical because it's like betting on one horse, and that's risky. And as an agency, we're quite risk averse. So this basically laid, the grounds of our agency. So basically, to specialize or not to specialize. Yeah, that was the question. Are we going to specialize? Are we going to be a Drupal agency? Are we going to specifically focus on just Drupal? And we knew that would be the easy choice, the easy way forward. Because if we would have chosen just Drupal, we could have basically all our processes in place specifically focused on Drupal. But we didn't. We didn't start as just a development company. And we started as an integrated company because we believed in this customer journey. We believed in customers making a choice of themselves, the customer already in charge. And we decided to offer services from design to UX and development. And we knew that would be the difficult path. And it's been difficult. Why? Well, it's easy. When we grow up, we are taught to think in boxes. still today, people come up to me and says, okay, so you're an internet agency. Says, well, no, we're not. So you're an advertising agency. No, we're not. So you're a mobile agency then? No, we're not. We combine that. Well, that's not possible. And then I tell them, why not? Because, well, you have to choose. And in the early days, it was really funny. We started off in an incubator, and we got this consultant, for like 6 sessions, to help us really kick off our agency. And the guy comes up to us and says, to my companion and me, says, okay, you have to make a choice. Well, why? He says, well, everybody has to make a choice, and you have to be really specific in what you're going to do. So you either have to be specific in you becoming a digital agency, or a Drupal agency, or an advertising agency. He says, well, we're not going to make that choice. And he thought it was absolutely ridiculous. He thought we were really stupid at the time. And the funny thing is that he came up to us, he says, you're really, really going to do it? He says, yeah. And then he told us, well, this is a Dutch proverb. It says, you have to see where the ship hits the shore. So I told him, well, that's going to be easy. It's going to be the Bahamas, because that's where we're going to end. We're going to make this a big success. We're going to grow this agency, and we're going to end up on the Bahamas. And then he started laughing and says, well, good luck with that. And he still didn't believe that we were going to do it. This was actually in the time, we chose Drupal because we were looking for basically the Swiss Army knife. And this was at the time that Dries was beautiful, the market was, I was still young and beautiful, and Dries was still young and beautiful and available. And yeah, we were actually the first agency to choose Drupal in the Netherlands. So we chose it. There were a few people, out of a hobby playing around with Drupal, and we thought, well, okay, let's turn this into a company. Let's adopt Drupal. So, and then we found out, okay, it's open source. We need a community. There was not really a community. There was a small event, the Drupal Jam, as it was called. And there was like 5 guys around pizza boxes having a laugh about Drupal. And I said, okay, so I attended that meeting. I still remember it, coming up there. And there's this guy in a suit standing behind me, looking at those guys sitting around pizza boxes, talking about Drupal, how cool it was. And I look at the guy and says, okay, so who are you? I says, well, I'm from KPN, which is basically the largest telecom provider in the Netherlands. And he says, yeah, I've heard something about Drupal, and I think it's interesting. And then I thought, okay, cool. If a large a company like that is interested in Drupal, we should make these events, more worthwhile to visit also for bigger companies. So I started helping organizing the Drupal Jam, started helping growing the community, and in a couple of years' time, we grew the Drupal Jam to an event of about 400 people. And it's still going on. There's a whole team now organizing the Drupal Jam. They're doing great events. And basically, yeah, I'm quite proud of that. Organizing that community was a necessity. Why? If we wanted to be successful with Drupal, we needed competitors. And you find that probably weird, but you cannot basically drive a market yourself. You need competition. And I knew I think it was about a couple of months later that another company popped up. It was called Madcap at the time, and they come up with us and says, oh, you're doing Drupal as well. Yeah, you found it. Yeah, we found it as well, and this Drupal 5.4, no, 4.4 it was. So it was really in the basic state. And they loved it, and we loved it. And basically, we teamed up in coming up with a way of selling Drupal to the market on an enterprise level at the time already. Then I knew at that time already that if we were going to be successful, if we would grow and create a community, we would also create a red ocean. So now I'm going to explain to you about the blue and red ocean theory. Who knows about the blue and red ocean theory? Very good, very good. For those who don't know it, basically when there's a market, now vision yourself an ocean, you're a shark, and you're swimming around, and there's no other sharks there, but there's plenty of fish for you. You know, so you swim around, you open your mouth, and you get feed. Basically, it was one shoe in the early days. We did Drupal. There was, plenty of opportunities, and we got business easily. So we were swimming around, and then after a couple of months, the second shark came in, Madcap. But it's a big ocean, so we didn't care. We teamed up, opened our mouth, fish came in, and it was hilarious. So a couple of months later, Internet Unlimited, came up. There's a guy over there. Yep, you were there. Very good, very good. And we teamed up, 3 sharks, big ocean, having a laugh, and yeah, we had, there was so much work at the time that we were approached, and we're sitting down with the client and says, yeah, I've invited 2 other companies. And I would knew, it's Madcap and Internet Unlimited. And basically, there was so much work, we were prospering, we're having a laugh. Basically, you can also jump into a market which is already heavily contested, where like 1,000 sharks are. If sharks are competing with each other to get that fish, sharks are biting each other. And when sharks bite each other, there comes blood. And basically when there's blood, a blue ocean turns into a red ocean. And I knew that Drupal itself would become a red ocean. That would be inevitable. That's just the force of the market, force of nature as well. So 2006, the Drupal was like the Blue Lagoon, and there's no half-naked ladies, running around on the beach, but it was the Blue Drupal Lagoon, First Drupal agency in the Netherlands, we're having a laugh, and in 2008, there were like 3 agencies like Madcap and Internet Unlimited, and then it would grow. So after 2010, we had quite a bit of competition already. Why? We were really successful in organizing the Drupal jams, creating a buzz around Drupal, sending out press releases, all that kind of stuff to promote Drupal. And we had to diversify our offers. We had to distinguish ourselves from the other agencies. We've been doing that quite from the beginning already, but and we're currently, I think it's about 53 agencies in the Netherlands. We have 14 million people, 17 million people living in the Netherlands. We're a quite small country, but we have 53 agencies that present themselves as specialized Drupal agencies. And then still, there's also international competition coming from Europe. So that's a heavily competed ocean, if you know what I mean. So what I see now happening is, what I see is that agencies are already choosing to specialize themselves. They're either diverting to what you can see a corner of this blue ocean. Says, yeah, okay, I'm truly going to focus on the government market, for example, or I'm going to focus on the advertisement bit, marketing. So that's basically swimming away from the center where the heavy fight is going on and diversify yourself. So that's an option I'm going to dive into a bit later on. But there's also an option to find another blue ocean. Basically swim away, and go from the North Atlantic to the Pacific Ocean. It's a bigger ocean. Okay, so the red ocean versus the blue ocean theory. Basically, it's red ocean, competing in a existing market space. That's what it's up to. It's a war out there. Beating the competition, that's what it's all about. Exploit existing demand, make the value cost trade-off, to balance it, and align the whole system of a firm's activities in a strategic choice of differentiation or low cost. So that's some strategic moves within the red ocean. You also have the blue ocean. That's creating a uncontested market space. We found it, and the funny thing is, Drupal, blue ocean, that's what we found, in 2006. It was a blue ocean. Make the competition irrelevant. by creating that blue ocean, you can do that. You can create blue oceans, create and capture new demand, break the value-cost trade-off, and align the whole system of a firm's activities in pursuit of differentiation and low cost. So it's basically, you are in charge. As a CEO or as a company, you are in charge of making those choices. And are you up for a fight or not? Or are you willing to fight? Or would you not like to fight and swim around in an ocean like a shark and just be happy and having a laugh? So that's basically the choices you can make. There's a couple of principles around the blue and red ocean theory. Basically, reach beyond existing demand. I'll show you that later, and I'm going to dive into that in the next slide. Reconstruct market boundaries. I still remember, this is a little anecdote I came up with. There were CEO events organized. They were called CXO events. And there was one CXO event in Brussels. It was basically one of the first CXO events where all CEOs came together. And it was basically the start-off point for Acquia at the time. And we're there as Drupal shops, sitting there. And Tom Erickson was there. And I still remember I was asking the question, okay, Tom, you're going to present yourself as Acquia. Are you one of those big elephants, who's basically running into the market and breaking everything up, or not? And he says, okay, I want to talk to you about it. So with all CEOs, we went into a room, and Tom Erickson sat there, and he says, you have to look at the market as a pie, and if we join forces together, we can grow the pie. So basically, reconstructing those market boundaries, by making it bigger. And that was, at the time, was uncontested, because that was a thing that, within the Drupal community, nobody was talking about. Nobody was talking about commerce at the time. Nobody was talking about making money, and some of you were here last night at the Drupal CEO dinner, and yes, now we are talking about money. And at the time, there was basically a cultural movement that happened within the Drupal community that we started talking about, creating markets, creating a bigger pie, and actually make money with Drupal. And there's nothing wrong about making money with Drupal because it pays the salaries of our employees as well. So that was interesting at the time. Acquia came in, and then we decided, okay, we're going to make this pie a hell of a lot bigger. Basically, what you have to do is focus on the big picture, not the numbers. When you have or you want to create a blue ocean, please create a big picture in your mind. This is where I want to go to, and don't focus on the numbers too much, because that could be a constraint. And then you have to get the strategic sequence right, make the right steps to create that blue ocean. You have to overcome some key organizational hurdles. I will be diving into that later on as well, and build execution into strategy. So really, really important principles when you decide or consider, changing your company and move away from this red ocean. So reach beyond existing demand. We are, as an agency, in this really nice state that people are calling us. For the last 10 years, we haven't hunted for clients at all. The phone keeps ringing. So that's where we're lucky. But then again, if we decide to grow, and if we want to, we have to be looking at the first tier. That's soon to be non-customers who are on the edge of your market, waiting to jump your ship. Basically, there's a gazillion opportunities out there, But as you're focusing on your daily business, people are not looking beyond that little horizon they've created, and there's a gazillion opportunities out there. Basically, people who are interested in your services. That's basically the first tier you have to focus on. The second tier is refusing non-customers who consciously choose against your market. There's a whole bunch of potential customers out there that say open source. I'm not sure, Focus on them, convince them, and convert them into potential clients. Takes marketing effort, It takes, well, events like this, to show the world how great Drupal is, all that kind of stuff. But you can convince them. That's the second tier. And then the third tier is like unexplored non-customers who are in market distance from yours. We were just talking about 3D HoloLens stuff, which basically is a total new market. You have your content within Drupal and then basically export it or publish it via Google Glass. Well, no, that's all. HoloLens and other areas. So that's basically customers, unexplored non-customers in markets way distant from yours. You're not looking at that right now, but that's an opportunity as well. And now we're looking at the key organizational hurdles. Especially when you have a larger organization, you have to overcome some hurdles. But even in smaller companies, there's always people who are pretty dominant, and have a will and have a say in how things are going. The cognitive hurdle example. Try to meet with some disgruntled customers. Try to talk to them and see, okay, how can you change them and grow your market space again? That's an option. A resource hurdle: hire and fire and swap around where it's needed. If you choose to go into a blue ocean, you have to restructure your company for sure, because it's a new ocean and it requires a new set of rules, new set of tactics, and new processes. Everything's going to be new. That means that you really have to carefully look at your employees. Are they in the right place or not? So you have to either swap them around, hire some new ones, maybe you have to fire some. That's basically the last thing you want to do. But if it's necessary to be successful in that blue ocean, think of this one, and that's a hurdle. I know every entrepreneur doesn't like to fire people or swap around. Reorganization isn't fun, but a necessity. Motivational hurdle. Break down overall strategic objectives into bite-sized chunks. When you go into a blue market, a blue ocean, it could be, it looks like Mount Everest. None of the climbers of Mount Everest go up there in one go. No, they take it in small steps and climb the mountains, in really small episodes. So if you have or make a move into a new blue market, bite-sized chunks, that's what it's all about. Create small objectives, reach them, celebrate them, and move forward to make it a fun ride. Political hurdles. Within your company, you probably have angels, you have influencers. Some people have to gain. There's also some devils probably. If you basically move into a blue market and somebody who's totally against it, maybe he's afraid to lose his job because he's not willing to work in that blue ocean. That's also some stuff you have to consider. All right, so basically back to one shoe. We could have chosen to be a specialist, but we chose to have specialists under one roof. And it sounds really easy. Believe me, it's not. Why? We chose advertising and digital, and believe me, the advertising world has completely different procedures than the digital world has. I wrote a column last year about enforcing Scrum within the advertisement world. Look at advertising campaigns from a Scrum perspective. Small steps, iterate, and basically work from that perspective. And that was basically applauded by a couple of universities. Says, well, hey, this is a new way of thinking. And we've tried it, but it's really difficult because people who are in the advertising world are really traditional and try really to stuck onto their old processes. So we're trying to make a move in that. So yes, we're not taking the easy way to the Bahamas. We're taking the difficult road. But for now, it's still working. And for us, is like a blue ocean because there are not a lot of contestants in the combined world of advertising and digital. Why? Well, it's pretty easy. Normally, a copywriter and a art director are combining forces and start an advertising agency. On the other hand, there's mostly one or two developers who start a digital agency and start developing. You know, we build a website, cool, and another website, and oh my God, you know, it's too much work. And then we had another developer, and suddenly they have a company. So they don't have the advertising DNA within them. But same thing happens within the advertising world, is with most of the advertising agencies, they don't have the digital DNA within them because they started as a creative agency. We've been combining those forces, and for us, basically, that's our blue ocean. And I'm loving this blue ocean strategy, I can tell you that, because yeah, we're doing actually pretty well. And we now see a movement, and it's taken us 10 years of evangelizing this word, is that people are now looking at, hey, this customer journey is really important, you know, and customer journeys, you know, everybody's talking about UX and customer journeys and how to implement those customer journeys. And yes, okay, so we need offline and online, and basically help those clients convert via their channel of choice. Yeah, we've been preaching that for the last 10 years already. So we're absolutely in the right spot right now. And for us, it's really important that within that customer journey, people don't get lost. You know, one shoe, you know, it's a story about this shoe which is lying beside the road everywhere around the world. People losing their shoe, which is kind of like ridiculous, especially on the middle of a highway. But losing your customer in this customer journey is ridiculous as well. So basically, you're an idiot if that happens. And basically what we do is we make sure that our clients, that our customers don't lose their clients in their customer journey. And I can give you an example, which is really an interesting one, and I hope I can change your vision, you know, and maybe you can start thinking from a marketing perspective as well when you walk on the street. Because this is a campaign by Emirates. You know, Emirates, really large airline company. And in English it says, experience the latest trends in the Far East. You know, and I'm like, all right, I'm cool. I like new trends, you know, really wondering what they are, really wondering which countries they're flying to. So yeah, I want to experience those last trends, you know. And then I move over to the mobile website, and then it says book a flight. No, sorry. I'm still being in my inspirational modus. I want to get inspired. I want to know which countries you fly to and what the latest trends are. And I'm not seeing that. It says book a flight. So basically, they jump from inspiration to book right now. And there's a whole world in between. So if we go back, you know, here I see two ladies. I think it's in Japan somewhere. Looks like there's been a big explosion in this building or something. I don't know what it is. Awful picture, but and when I go back to the next slide again, here we are. Where are the two ladies? You know, where's the setting? Where's the trend? They've lost me straight away. And I urge you now to look at this from a well, basically marketing perspective. The next time you see a campaign, go over to their mobile website or surf to their mobile website or anything what they communicate, and you'll find out they make mistakes. That's the blue ocean. All right, this is an interesting as well. I was in London the other day and I saw this campaign. Love it. You know, it says, I've kissed Elvis, you know. We live in a digital world, you know, and I want to communicate with my, and I want to interact with my brand. And here it says, I've kissed Elvis, and it says Coca-Cola, 100 years of the Coca-Cola bottle. And I'm like, okay, now what? You know, there's no conversion point. There's no me being directed to a mobile website where I can upload my experience or kiss with Coca-Cola. You know, there's just nothing happening. So I hope, you know, I can transform you guys and girls all into basically looking at marketing from a different perspective. And there's one other thing I want to share with you is basically it's silo thinking, you know. Silos are made for farmers, you know, not for marketeers. And we have, you know, television, social media, we have print, email, ad serving, web analytics, mobile. Drupal's here as well. Drupal is one of those silos, but a customer is not really interested in a silo. Brands are not interested in a silo. No, they're interested in a total experience. So we should stop thinking in silos. And I urge marketeers, I've been giving this presentation at large congresses, and I urge those marketeers, okay, don't basically degrade yourself to becoming an agency manager, by working with 5 or 8 agencies to deliver your campaign. No, please focus on the whole thing, and not, basically focusing on those agencies. I'll show you one example we've done for a real estate agent. It's the largest online real estate agent in the Netherlands. We created a campaign with a billboard, and it says, giving a tour, is that a hassle? No, it's not. Basically, sell your house online via Makelaarsland. The same thing, this is a commercial, there's no sound in it. We created a commercial as well. It's the same sign you saw in the paper ad, and it says Makelaarsland, and we convert to their website. And when you come on the website, it says the same visual and same text again. So we're basically guiding this customer all the way, in their customer journey from a TV commercial, an ad campaign, onto their website. For us, that's what we call, and this is the next step within the blue ocean and red ocean theory, that's what we call value innovation. We could have sticked here, which is basically web development, but we knew we would be contested in this market space. We had a belief in delivering this integrated solution because brands would need it, and marketeers would love it. And basically we decided already in the early days that we started off with web, and do mobile, and do print. Mobile came officially in 2008, it was September 2008, when the iPhone was introduced with unlimited use of your mobile phone. And that was basically kicking off the whole mobile era in 2008. So yeah, that's basically, this was for us was value innovation. So when you look at your company, you can contest in a single space, but you can also start thinking, okay, how can I basically innovate on my value? How can I add value to my proposition? Should I have designers in-house, or do I work with them externally? Do I offer this as a service? Do I offer UX? Do I offer mobile development? And you can broaden your services, to your liking, And with that comes new processes and new challenges and new hurdles, but that's what we entrepreneurs like anyway. We love those hurdles. But this is key in basically become you can create your blue ocean here, but you can also contest basically your competition within that market space. Because if you have 2 competitors, and they both do Drupal, and they're both good at Drupal, and then somebody says, okay, but I'll design it, to the specific needs of Drupal, and we do just Drupal, who would you choose? So that's a way of competing with each other. So it's a different mindset, and it's a systematic way of looking at your competition. And I'll give you some tools for that as well later on in this presentation. So it's all about value innovation. Of course, really important when there's a red ocean, and there's more competition. You have to get your cost down, but you have to create more value as well. So from an operational point of view, you just look at, okay, how can I reduce my cost, to a minimum? How can I increase my buyer value? And in the middle is what you call the value innovation. So really, really important. How do you do that? And there's some really, really, really easy tools, available, open source. Well, basically it's an Excel sheet. I'll show you that later on. you have to create a strategy canvas. Okay, so what you do is basically create a chart like this. I'll show you in a minute how you can do that. Basically, on the chart here, it says you got your offering offers here, and you have your competing factors. Basically, this is how good you are in that area, and this is your competing factors. And you see here, people are, the red line here, this is basically the red ocean, they're really good at this, and okay, I've been minimizing on this, but here, this is where I succeed, and this is where I'm competing within that space. I'll show you an example from who knows Cirque du Soleil? All right, very good, very good. That makes it a hell of a lot easier. All right, so Cirque du Soleil, you basically your price, you got normal circus. They had a star performer, they had an animal show, they had some aisle concessions, they had multiple show arenas, you got fun and humor, thrills and dangers, unique venue. Basically, they looked at their offerings, and basically created a map for themselves. Okay, where are we competing? Are we going to compete on an animal show? Cirque du Soleil said, no, we're not going to do that. Aisle concessions, no. Multiple show arenas, no. Star performer, no. Not one star performer, not one clown just running around, not a show pony or a lion, no. Basically, what we're going to do is we're going to add some fun and humor, thrills and danger, but here we have a unique venue, we have a theme every year, we have a refined watching environment and multiple productions and an artistic music and dance. And this is basically what none of the circuses would offer. And this basically launched them, and now you see that all these circuses are basically they're breaking down. They're not allowed to have shows with animals anymore, especially not in the Netherlands. I don't know how it's here in Dublin, but Cirque du Soleil said, no, we're not going to do that anymore. We're going to create something really special and contest in a different market space. So we've been adding value and created for them what they call the blue ocean. And now what I'm going to do is always really tricky in a presentation. I'm going to try to move over to an Excel sheet, which is, okay, let me see how I can get that right up there. All right. So it's really easy, actually. Okay, it's not that sharp, but what you do, basically, you have your value elements here, which is like, this is for an airline company, Southwest versus other airlines companies, and they have another competition, which is the car. So you have your price, you have your meals, you have your lounges, seating choice. And basically what you do is basically you write down your value elements. Basically, this is you, Southwest, these are the other airlines, and a car, and you give yourself some numbers. And basically Southwest stated, okay, we want to compete in frequent departures and speed and a friendly service, and the rest is irrelevant for us. That's where we're going to compete. And you'll see this in the chart. Is basically in this area, they said, okay, we're not going to compete there anymore, but this is our unique proposition, and that could create for them basically the blue ocean. And now to get back to the presentation again, which is not going to work probably. There we go. Da, da, da. Get this out of the way. Nope. La, 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 la. And now to get this one over there. That's not working, and I knew this was going to happen. Yeah, here we are again. All right. Okay, so you can do this for yourself. Okay, you pick like 5 competitors, all Drupal shops. Okay, who's my competition? Who am I seeing, most of the times? How can I diversify myself? This is interesting. So, really easy, Excel sheets, just Google it, Blue Ocean Theory, Excel, and you'll find the sheets. You can fill it in yourself, and then, the fun is on. When you look at the sheets, there's some actions involved. Okay, this is basically the 4-action framework. It's about racing, reducing, eliminating, and creating, because at every step you have to look, okay, am I going to raise the bar, and am I going to reduce the bar, am I going to eliminate it, or going to create a new market space. Basically raising the bar. Which factors should be raised well above the industry standard? So basically create a blue market there. This is the creational side. Which factors should be created that the industry has never offered before? Basically, a blue ocean. Create a completely blue ocean. And then you have to eliminate. Sometimes you have to eliminate stuff. As an agency, we tried WordPress. I'm really honest about that. And we're basically competing in the enterprise sector, and then we thought, okay, maybe we should offer WordPress as well. And then we got telephone calls. Yeah, I want a blog. I'm a bakery around the corner, and I want a blog website. It's like, okay, this is not basically the area we want to contest in. So basically, the soon as we noticed that we were hitting the wrong market with WordPress, we eliminated it straight away from our offerings. So basically, eliminate which factors that the industry has long competed on should be eliminated. There was no interest in us competing in the area of WordPress. Reduce which factors should be reduced, well below the industry standard, which are not becoming irrelevant, to compete with. That's interesting as well. So this is more from an organizational point of view, and this is more from a creative point of view. This is basically the theory. We've been implementing it already since 10 years. It works really well for us. And the question is our red ocean theories worthless? Well, not at all. Why? Eventually, when you do nothing, you will all be competing in a red ocean. That's the market, the force of the market. It will happen. And the question is, and I state this actually, is that a company must master its traditional market using conventional strategies and strategic planning tools. Yes, you must master it anyway, right or left. And it will always be important to swim successfully in the red ocean by outcompeting rivals. Red ocean will always matter, definitely, and will always be a fact of business life. And as it is a fact, and you will start competing, and it will become difficult, and it will be a war out there. Believe me, it will. Maybe not in your market right now, but eventually it will. And basically, when focusing on the red market, accept the key constraints of war. It's going to be nasty. It's going to be tough. And then you have to face the facts that it will happen. So our red ocean strategy is worthless? No, not at all. Be aware that it's going to happen. And it might influence the relationship you have, within the community from other people. Because if you start competing with each other, when a couple of sharks, are focusing on one market, then it gets bloody, And when we all have to be aware of that. But what you can do, and that's why I'm giving this presentation right now, because I see some markets now turning into a red ocean. Move away, diversify your offering, and do something special, because it's much nicer to swim in a blue ocean than in a red ocean. So the conclusion of this all is basically to sustain high performance, companies must create their blue oceans and make competition irrelevant. It's much more fun to be on the creative side of life, as a CEO or as a company, creating new markets, being innovative, and find those blue oceans, then competing with each other. So yeah, I would suggest create your blue ocean, do it, because it's a hell of a lot of fun. All right, so the conclusion, well, it's simple. To specialize or not, it's up to you. I can't make that decision. It's not up to me. You're all CEOs. You're all working at agencies. So it's basically up to you. I would give you a suggestion, but to specialize or not, I wouldn't do it. But basically, it's up to you. And why? Well, if you do, if you find those blue oceans, you end up on the Bahamas. I can tell you that. All right. Well, that's it. Thank you very much. If you have any questions, just let me know. All right, there's a microphone over there. And I've been asked basically to use the microphone so all the people who are listening to this audience, listening to this talk online later on can hear your question as well. So please pick up the microphone and ask the questions.
I was just wondering if there's a way possibly, oh, and thank you for the eloquent images, it's very memorable. And particularly in Ireland, there's I feel like when you mentioned WordPress and Drupal, of course, WordPress is like the red ocean and Drupal is like the blue ocean. Maybe it's not so extreme in other countries, other European countries. Would it ever, do you have experience that indicates that it might be possible to use the very popular ideas within the red ocean to get people to cross over into a less understood or less utilized technology, like presenting to people who were already familiar with WordPress and the ideas of CMS principles, CMS design in a saturated environment like WordPress to say, look, you WordPress people, there's a blue ocean over here in Drupal and it applies to some things that would be useful to you, and try to leverage the exposure of the red ocean in order to get people to cross over into the blue ocean? Is there any justification for that kind of strategy?
Well, if you look at it from an employee perspective, it could be interesting because you can give employees more challenges by moving over to Drupal from WordPress. That's a thing. If you're talking from a client perspective, it's about what are the offerings that of WordPress versus Drupal, and you can make a chart, okay. So if you basically create a chart WordPress versus Drupal, okay, what has Drupal has to offer? And I know from the early days we said, okay, WordPress, yeah, that's Playmobil. But, and this is a really funny story. I sit down with clients and says, okay, have you ever played with Playmobil? It says, yeah, and the Fortress. Yeah, the Fortress is really cool. You open up the package, it's like click, 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 and you have Fortress. And so, okay, well, this is Drupal, it's Lego, and I'm going to build a fortress myself, 3 walls big, and try to conquer me. You can't, because I got 3 walls, designed it myself on purpose, and you have you got Playmobil, just 1 wall. So basically, that's Drupal, versus it's Lego versus Playmobil. So you can look at it from that perspective, and then you can basically move over people from WordPress. But it all comes down to their specific needs. If somebody wants a blog, I would suggest, okay, go on to WordPress. If you just want a blog, that's it. But if you want to extend it, move over to Drupal. So that's it. Balance it out. All right. Next question.
Hi, we are having a similar story to yours. So we are combining advertising and digital for 10 years.
Yes.
So I was wondering, because with new clients, with potential clients, we have the problem that they often think we are not good in enough because we do both. So they think we are not good in one of them. So what do you do about it yourself?
Well, basically, it comes down to proof. Basically promote the big clients. Okay, I'm really proud that we've just landed a huge, project for a large bank. I'm not allowed to state the name yet, but it's going to be out there. I'm going to publish it and tell the whole world that we've landed this client and I'm going to do this. Yesterday at the CEO dinner, I asked everybody, okay, do you have a press list yourself as an agency? Most of the hand didn't go up because nobody's thinking about it. So basically publicize the stuff you've been doing and tell your client, okay, how difficult is it? You can work with specialists, but I can hire specialists and I've hired them, I got a room full of specialists and we work closely together, and especially, and that's really interesting, tell them a story about art direction through all channels. Yeah, you probably know that story probably. It says, okay, who does the art direction? So you have your advertising campaign, you got your website, you got your mobile, and it's done by 3 different agencies, and they have their own specific designers. Who's doing the art direction? He says, well, they're doing it themselves. And then you start comparing them. When you look at the campaign from Emirates, There's two different art directors there, been not working closely together, and then you tell them, you will lose your customer in that journey. That's the trick.
Really good, thank you.
All right, thank you, cheers. All right. Any more questions? I was expecting some difficult questions as well, but they're not coming up yet. All right. Yeah. All right.
Hi, Michael. First of all, thanks for taking the Blue Ocean strategy and applying it to the Drupal ecosystem. Right. We as a company have also explored Blue Ocean strategy recently, so it's good to know that you've been doing this for 10 years. Yeah. So probably you got lots of answers to a few questions we have recently come up. So I'll only ask one here. So one of the concepts of Blue Ocean is you need to find focus. When you look at the strategy canvas. Yeah. Is there a particular order in which the value criteria or parameters should be plotted? Because you can really change the shape of that chart by having something plotted towards the end, towards the first, right? So the focus is like a more smooth curve rather than a zigzag design. So that's something we found ourselves asking.
Yeah, it's basically about the 4 points I told you about raising and eliminating and creating. Basically, it all comes down to knowing your market, knowing your customers and what they really need, what their focus is, and know your competition. When you look at your competition, and they're mainly focusing on Drupal, so it was easy for us to say, okay, we're going to add UX to the ball game,
right?
And then design, of course, because it was funny in the early days, and I'm talking about like the first few months of that we started the agency. We were working for a client, and he says, I got my own designer. He says, okay, really cool, and he came up with a website design, and it was made in InDesign, and it had a size of about this big, with multiple layers. I think it was Internet Explorer 6 at the time, and we're like, what is this? And it was basically a print designer who had designed a website in InDesign, at 1.5 meter by 1.5 meter, and I had to turn it, into a website design. It says, sorry, we can't do this, But we got into a fight, and because our clients said, why can't you do it? And we had to explain that the other agency basically sucked at their work, because they didn't understand like internet or online design. So, sometimes you come across feelings and ideas and say, okay, let's raise the bar on design, so we're going to add design to the whole mix to make it all smooth. And we have a rather a diversified proposition, and I'm honest, even too diversified at the moment. We're gonna chuck away some stuff to make it understandable again. Because we do a lot of e-health projects. We're an advertising and digital agency, and we do a lot of e-health. Yeah. Nobody's understanding it, but for some reason we're damn good at it. We work together with Apple, and it's being distributed over all Apple stores in Europe, but nobody understands it, because you're an advertising digital agency and you do e-health. So, we've made the decision, okay, we're going to take away this e-health part and put it into under a separate name. Yeah. So.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks for that one. I have one more question, small one.
Yeah.
So, is this something that you do once only, or like how frequent do you analyze, plot yourself on a canvas strategy, because blue oceans can often become red oceans if other people follow your path and start doing the same thing that you've been doing.
Yeah, true. Every year we have a session. It's a 2-day session in November, and we're going to plot out basically our plans for the next year. And we use the Balanced Scorecard for that. The Balanced Scorecard is really easy to fill in, and basically we're going to set ourselves some challenges, and often, we start with some financial targets. It's like, how cool would it be if we can reach that target? Okay, how are we going to do that? And then we break it down in options. We are ISO certified, as an agency, 27001 and 9001. So we sit down every 2 weeks, basically to discuss everything that's happening within the company. And every month we have a small strategy session with operations to see where we are and if we are on target. And we also discuss everything that's happening within the market. That's part of ISO. You have to look at the market and everything that is a risk or a potential risk, and competition is a risk, of course, and we all take that in mind by moving forward. So we have it all, planned out, and there's all policies for that within ISO. So it's well covered.
Right. Yeah. Thank you so much.
All right, cheers. All right. Any more questions? Nope. Well, thank you very much, and I hope it's delightful and enjoy your time. Cheers.